That head is a level 8 mutated plant with the talent to grow a forest of vines. Special abilities include the ability to transform into blood clots that corrode opponents, creepy vines, and parasitic skills. Wu Ziyu recognized it as the tree he Xiaoking stole from the giant turtle the other day. I didn't expect that forgetting would cause such a stir. It captured Lyra, which means it opened its mind. Because Lingxi's separated spirit power, it was not detected. Today it even bared its teeth and threatened Wu Ziyu. It launched vines to the root. This child is both deceitful and evil without a single bit of kindness. Wu Ziyu gently dodged the vines. Since you're so deceitful, don't ask why seawater is salty. He used his momentum to slash away the hair that was clinging to Lyra. Then wrap it tightly. You don't know who's bossing this area, right? I'll pick you up so you can have some social contact. As soon as it is pulled out of the ground, it immediately receives new abilities, can use force to produce many seedlings with rapid growth, create a small forest. Wu Ziyu threw the body of the mutated tree to the ground. The new ability isn't bad either. Isn't it like the fetus through the entire ancient forest? Killing so many strange beasts doesn't get the skill. Today, just killing this one beast brings new abilities. Perhaps only mutated plants have special abilities. It's not like in the past, killing a turtle gave you new abilities. The new capacity issue has been put aside for now. Lyra, could he just die like that? I really love that. And died so miserably. Lyra lay on the ground without moving. His whole body was stuck by vines, looking very miserable. Perhaps the mutated tree wants to parasitize Lyra to escape the earth. Look how enthusiastically it has taken root. Wu Ziyu and Lyra were also considered acquaintances, so he planned to bury Lyra there. I thought we knew each other and brought it to the funeral, but did you plan on throwing it here? Bastard! Hearing that Lyra was dying, she was shocked and opened her eyes. The aura around her gathered into a stone egg, cracked egg. Lyra's hand stabbed straight out. She is reborn with an extremely beautiful new skin. The tree also blushed when she saw it. Lyra is exactly symbiotic with mutated plants. Not only appearance but also strength has definitely changed. When Lyra regained consciousness, the first thing she did was cry out in pain. What's wrong? My head hurts, boss. Lyra's eyes filled with tears and she doubted she was no longer human. But even if she believes she is human, she is still afraid that no one will believe her. Wu Ziyu said she was not a human but a plant. I'm in town joking like shit, just kidding to relieve tension. But in reality, he didn't know what kind of person she was. But one thing is for sure, Lyra cannot wear this skin and run around among humans. Think to yourself, when people see this appearance, will they recognize Lyra as a fellow human being? Lyra also considered herself lucky not to die, and still keep the braid intact. The mutated plant intended to take over Lyra's sac, but without knowing how to use it incorrectly, it was absorbed by Lyra. Wu Ziyu recruits Lyra into his multi-species company. From now on, this ravine is Lyra's home. Humans don't accept it, but Wu Ziyu accepts it, which is already very good. Lyra, of course I agree. Return to conquer new areas. The boss of the Gecko School finally appeared and stuck out his level 1 tongue, stabbing straight into the white tiger's shoulder blade, causing pain and bleeding from the mouth. See your opponent in pain. This snake has a cunning smile. White Tiger was brought by Tiangwen in front of Wu Ziyu, in a state of being unable to get up. After the humiliating defeat, the ancient empire reported that it had gone to war, but for some reason the gecko didn't want to play with him. Seeing that stupid tiger, he still has the pride of the king of the jungle. Take on the enemy alone. Wu Ziyu stuck out a drop of healing essence for it. Suddenly, he looked around to see if it was because of his own feelings of narcissism or if it was true that there were more luxuriant trees around him. I wonder if I'm hallucinating because I inhaled too much ice. No, it is not. This is a new ability that Wu Ziyu has just tested. Now he has the ability to make plants grow, but the trees that grow without spirit power being pumped into them are no different from normal trees. Wherever you say it, there will be an illustration. Wu Ziyu grew a small tree and used spirit power to control the tree writhing on the ground, shocking the stupid tiger's eyes. While not understanding anything, Tiangwen noticed a strange breath. Before the stupid tiger could understand anything, Tiangwen immediately rushed forward to attack. Mixed in among the bones behind the large tree branches is the silhouette of a witch, who thought it was Lyra. She still doesn't know how to fight. She held her head and screamed so that the vines could only unconsciously protect her. Tiangwen recognized Lyra. Her strange appearance shocked him. No one told him what happened to the young girl. Lyra can now freely control the vines behind her. Defense can also be attacked, but the most important thing is that she doesn't know how to use it right now. The vines knocked Tiangwen away. It can be seen that the power of Lyra's vines is not weak at all. Defending Tiangwen's attack must also be very formidable. Wu Ziyu told Tiangwen that from now on Lyra will join the family. Even ranked 6th. Took the new name Qing, that is, the thorn bush, but when I read it, it's easy to think of things that aren't fragrant, so I'll still call it Lyra. Lyra's appearance and her new appearance made the whole family come out to watch. Everyone gasped. Only the ant objected. It does not accept this. Humans can be slaves here, but they are not on the same level as strange beasts. It wants to immediately kill Lyra to prove its argument that humans are too weak, not worthy of being a teammate. Wu Ziyu stared at it. In a low voice, he asked the ant what he didn't understand. Wu Ziyu's tone made Tiangwen a little scared, until Wu Ziyu glared at it. Then it's really scary, sweat profusely. He quickly knelt down. I was wrong, so my boss didn't apologize to me. Wu Ziyu continued to use a threatening manner to talk to Tiangwen. He knew that Tiangwen had a huge aversion to humans, but everywhere there were good and bad people who slowly lived together. Over time, perhaps our perception of people will change. Lyra looked timidly at Tiangwen. It listened to Wu Ziyu's words, but it was not yet convinced. Hatred is formed from countless past hurts that cannot simply be resolved by saying 1 or 2 words of reconciliation. If it was so easily shaken, it wouldn't have been as strong as it is today. For the time being, out of respect for Wu Ziyu, Tiangwen agreed to live together, which is already a good thing. He breathed a sigh of relief. Now there is internal conflict and it is difficult to agree with each other. But he understands it as a matter of course. 9 people but 10 ideas is a challenge for a big boss like him, on a day with very good weather. The sky is clear, but the fog in the valley is still very thick. A group of 5 people of all genders and shapes worked together to search for the whereabouts of a mutated crocodile. I went very deep into the big mountain, but still couldn't find anything. The girl grumbled, not knowing who said the crocodile was here again, making her legs hurt. Whoever says it, leave her alone. If you have money, do it. No need to fight. Just tell the crocodile's location and whereabouts. The bald old man also agreed to work for money, so he shouldn't be too curious about that thing called sweat the small stuff. The bald man had heard that Foggy Mountain was blacklisted. There are mist monsters in the mountains, but he still doesn't believe it. So when I come, I have to finish my work before going home. This group of 5 people are all mercenaries. Work for the wealthy in exchange for generous bonuses. Today's group must have gone into the forest on the government's mission to find crocodiles. If they dare to step into the red warning area, their strength is certainly worth looking forward to. The group of mercenaries walked around in the forest for a few hours when the old man discovered Lyra picking fruit. A woman suddenly appeared in the forbidden forest. If it's not a ghost, it's a monster, nothing else. But now is the era of variation. Human fusion with other species is rare but entirely possible. So, do you know where rare and precious things are often placed? No, on that auction floor. Lyra had no idea anyone was nearby. She calmly picked the fruit and excitedly wanted to pick a little more and bring back to the 2 generals at the restaurant. But I don't know if I can return. When the bald guy was already standing close by, she still ran. Women's premonition skills seem to be lost without Lyra knowing. Just rely on having strong intuition, and you'll get lost. The bald guy grinned like a villain in a Conan story. Looking at Lyra is like looking at a rare and profitable animal. Lyra was a mutant for the first time, so she was confused and refused to run. So the bald man grabbed his head and pushed him straight into the tree. Even though she is no longer human, she is also a living creature with full emotions. Have thoughts, have motions. Haven't had time to harm anyone yet, but those people don't need to distinguish between right and wrong. As poachers see, they just catch it. The bald guy grabbed her hair and lifted her up like a chicken. The old man shouted from behind the bald man. What the hell are you doing? Don't be quick to confuse them because they are in the same group. Of course they are similar in nature. The old man was angry because the bald man smashed Lyra's face into the tree. If the face is damaged, It will not fetch a high price. Variations in human species are very rare and should not be damaged. That is, he also knew that Lyra was somewhat human, but did not consider her human. The yellow-haired man chattily said that Lyra was a rare treasure. In general, everyone just sees her as a monster. The men proposed to rape her first and then sell her. Look at how beautiful it is. It doesn't leave any scratches. The only girl in the group rushed out to block the men. She pushed the blonde guy away and cursed at the men who lost their brains when they saw a girl. Maybe it's because she's also a woman that she can't stand such disgusting things. That was until she looked at Lyra's body. Her breasts, waist, buttocks, everything made her eyes ache. Maybe hers isn't as good as it should be, so she's angry. She pulled out a knife and pointed it at Lyra's eyes, demanding that Lyra's eyes be gouged out so that she would suffer for the rest of her life. Lyra was scared and asked her to stop. She was so scared that she unleashed the ability to use vines to push everyone away. Anyone who can't push will go right through. Lyra lost her self-control and attacked while screaming loudly. The mixed-mind girl felt the spirit power from Lyra's body, which was sometimes weak and strong, extremely erratic. Quickly came to the conclusion that Lyra had only mutated and could not fully control her own power. If we rush together, we can suppress it. Also considered an experienced mercenary. They all rushed towards Lyra, who was still trying to control the roots. The mentality is so weak that it doesn't know how to attack or run. Lyra just stood there, waiting for the others to rush in. From somewhere a golden flash flashed, cut off the scared bald man's head, while he had not yet realized that his head had just said goodbye to his neck, right before the frightened eyes of the mixed-beaked sister. I saw with my own eyes the blood of my teammates splashing like a fountain. The bald man's body knelt down. The head not far away was under Tianwen's tiny claws. Lyra couldn't believe her eyes. A few days ago, he was cursing loudly, demanding to kill her, but today he came to save her. I hate her too, but I'm also a colleague, so I can't bear to let her die. If you stand outside and watch humans kill Lyra and then rush in, what else can you reduce from a monster too? But it's not exactly coming to save Lyra. Humans encroach on territory. If opinions are already hateful, then history is obvious. Tianwen stood on the head that had separated from his neck. Bring your front leg to push the blood up to your face. Humans dare to invade my place and use human language to communicate, which is the ultimate mercy. Humanity's first shock was that the ant could talk. The second shock is why is there such a powerful ant here? The final shock was that the ant was protecting that mutant girl. The old man quickly turned around. What the hell is the mission? Anyone who can run should run quickly. The mixed-mind girl just turned around and said, "Wait a minute." The old man no longer had the head to listen. "Oh my God," my sister screamed. Before she could scream, Tianwen rushed right next to her. "This forest is not a place where people can picnic." Tianwen shouted angrily. "Are you guys eating tiger liver and bear bile? How dare you step on my boss's land? If you put your foot in, you will lose your foot. No matter how much you go, you will stay there." After cursing, he stabbed his sister in the stomach. Next is this yellow-headed guy. The yellowhead protested fiercely. He had 5 fingers in his hand. Each finger shot bullets and shouted as he fired, but the bad bullets couldn't get through Tianwen's shell. Small ants directly penetrated his chest. The fight was over in less than 5 minutes. Lyra was extremely touched. Interrupting the flow of emotions was the loud cough of the yellowhead. Ant turned around. "What's behind the back that's so bright?" The yellowhead used his last breath to suicide bomb Tianwen. The power of the bomb is neither too strong nor too weak. Blow the little ants out. On the way, it hit the ground and bounced before stopping. Tianwen lies on the ground. The hard shell has many long cracks, especially in his legs, causing him to be so seriously injured that he couldn't stand up. In a fight, you only need to pay a little attention, and you will be injured immediately. The mixed-beak sister, who was still not dead, took the opportunity to take a knife and aim at Tianwen, preparing to stab. She was also seriously injured. His mouth was spitting blood, but he still tried to say a few words to relieve his anger. "Bomb, it hurt a lot just now, right? It's a specially made one for those strange beasts of yours. Go to die." She lowered the knife straight into Tianwen's eyes. A lot of blood splashed out. There was so much that I thought this wasn't even ant blood. It's the same scene from before. It's a knife in the hands of a mercenary. It's the saying go and die. Again, the tip of the knife aimed straight at Tianguan's eyes. Again, the blood splatter scene, but one more scene. The scene where the vines pierce the mixed-build girl's head, causing her to die on the spot. This vine was released by Lyra, who was also actively killed by Lyra. This is Lyra's first step after mutation. The act of narrowly saving Tianguan partly reflected her choice. The afternoon light shines on the reed grass field. The romantic scenery and warm atmosphere are very suitable for going to sleep, but Lyra chose this moment to cry. Have you cried enough? Not only that, it also makes her feel no longer alone. But after the conversation, Tianguan became less toxic towards Lyra. He even knows how to blush. Then once you join the ignorant group, you won't be able to escape. Ants, I see that the two of us are naturally closer. No need for Wu Ziyu to troubleshoot. The problems in the hearts of the other two had been resolved by themselves. In the human settlement built by Wu Ziyu, now there's one less person. Leader Feng seemed to be struck by lightning and immediately asked Lyra if she had thought carefully. Are you telling the truth or not? Lyra did not like to joke and added that Leader Feng should quickly decide his path, then leave. Unfortunately, Leader Feng is not like the other two. He also has family members waiting. It's not easy to choose to stay after raids. Spirit Power's mutation is increasing day by day. The city where people live is attacked by wild animals every day. The number of people logging out has only increased, not decreased. It's very sad to think that if I make a video in this world, not many people will be alive to watch it. Please give me a like so I can be motivated to make videos. At that time, the worst situation was residents of coastal cities. The total number of people who drowned and had their heads chewed by mutant creatures reached 100,000 people. It was so scary that people called that time the Dark Age. At some headquarters, there are certain people from certain places who are talking about world affairs. It can be called a masterclass in global government. The first person to speak up was a senior federal leader, mentioning that this matter is very urgent and requires the results of the Spirit Power investigation as soon as possible. The head of the Spirit Power Department, a white-haired girl, opened her mouth and couldn't breathe any good news. First, the Spirit Power in the seabed is rapidly increasing. No matter how much it increased, my sister showed it all on the screen. Sometimes up, sometimes down, but overall it's up. That is an alarming signal. Spirit Power is like a stimulant that is fun to use but toxic when inhaled too much. But sea monsters that can't stand the high concentration of Spirit Power will fall over and die. Because they did not want to die, they left the sea and gradually ran to shore. The monsters in the coastal areas cannot fight against the monsters that once lived in the sea. So they flocked to the mainland again. According to what has been analyzed, a wave of sea monsters flooding the shore is inevitable. The federal general asked how long it would take for the monsters to reach the shore so he could have a response plan. But he was doused with cold water. This is just the beginning. There are many more attacks. At sea increases Spirit Power. There are also signs of increased spiritual energy in the soil. It is expected that the second wave of global Spirit Power will quickly arrive, accompanied by a new wave of mutations. So at the same time, the coastal city will have to fight monsters rising from the water, and cities in the continent will be attacked by monsters coming down from the mountains. What's worrying is that the inland area where people live, unlike the ocean, cannot arbitrarily launch nuclear weapons for suppression. So the massacre of monsters is difficult to control. Everyone broke into a sweat after hearing this, but the bad news didn't stop there. Senior federal leaders still have something to show them. In such a busy world, Wu Ziyu was not lazy. He used his roots to go down tens of thousands of meters underground and continued without stopping. The reason for this was because he felt the pressure from deep within the earth. That threat is like the breath of the end of the world. It's like the world is facing disaster. Wu Ziyu took Xiaoqing and stabbed him deeply into the ground. Xiaoqing didn't know where he was going. Wu Ziyu said to follow the feeling. It's almost there. It sounds like you're sitting in the back of your friend's car and then you say you can just trust me. But Wu Ziyu didn't lie. It was true. In the underground, there was a powerful, mysterious light emitting. I wonder if he knows what it is. But Wu Ziyu just stabbed straight in, passes through the layer of purple light into the center of the light. The light at the center is very bright, very dazzling. It also continuously emitted small drops of light that continuously flew in front of Xiaoking. She looked at the light source, finally realizing what this was. This is spirit power dynasties. It was the same spirit power wave that swept across the earth before. Now it continues to surge with extremely great intensity. Wu Ziyu came close to Xiaoking. He said that the new round of evolution is about to begin, perhaps soon. Currently, the small drops of spirit power cannot hold back and are released into hundreds and thousands of drops. When he and Xiaoking were investigating underground, at the human headquarters, we are watching a clip of human-speaking yellow ants killing mercenaries. It was also said that it was because they broke into its owner's territory. Behind it there is a girl who is a mutant plant hybrid very similar to the person it protects. This entire clip was recorded by mercenaries through hidden cameras in their eyes. It's only shown a part to everyone, but it's enough to know the owner's name from the ant's mouth, which is the core problem. The high-ranking commander became tense. Remember the last time? The crocodile was also rescued by 8 falcons that suddenly appeared. It's impossible for someone to suddenly fly by and help. There must be someone behind the manipulation. A group of monsters that know how to act and talk is very tiring, and a commander behind them makes things even more difficult. Wu Ziyu used a vine to hold a square piece of equipment about the size of a cutting board. It looks pretty but is a device capable of jamming spirit power. He crushed the machine. The appearance of the spirit power jammer is a kind of threat. It directly attacked Wu Ziyu's ability to use fog to monitor everything in the ravine. Information is always very important in combat. The reason the supporter must constantly check the map is because they want to grasp the enemy team's situation so they can protect their main force and find the fighting advantage to win. The more information you have, the easier it will be to deal with it. The spirit power jammer created a fatal blind spot for Wu Ziyu. He did not expect that humans would progress so quickly. Using a bone screen, it's hard to sense people. Just the pressure of the times. Since humans discovered the jar containing spirit power, everything has gone to a new level, helping humans quickly capture strange beasts. The spirit power jammer was brought by Tiangwen. A total of 5 fit the group of mercenaries it had just killed. The spirit power jammer is already bad, but still not the worst thing today. The ancient empire relies on its nose, which is better than a dog's, to detect many strange breaths. The current ancient empire's nose is better than Wu Ziyu's blind bone, so he absolutely cannot sense anyone entering the territory. It wasn't until the ancient empire reported that he was startled. The birds with feathers and wings flying in the blue sky had to give way to the featherless and wingless iron birds. In addition to the iron birds, there are also iron elephants, along with the rumbling sound of marching feet. Humanity covers the sky with combat helicopters, covering the ground with tanks, soldiers, and smoke. This cannot be anything other than war. The war that humanity actively launched to suppress suspicious forces in the abyss. The faces of all the soldiers were tense. Of course it was tense because they knew the reason they were here was not to reconcile. In addition to the iron birds flying in the sky, humans also had giraffes. From the middle of the giraffe's belly opens a door. Coming out from the door was the unreal sublime crew of the genetic modification department of the supernatural army. Playboy's sister Linling is also in there. She laughed very happily. I looked a lot more disgusted than the last time I saw him. In addition, she also has ears, a tail, and a large scar on her face. The genetically modified team is the senior team. Below that team, there is another team that is also unreal sublime, but is completely human, and they are all from the Institute for the Study of the Superhuman. The white stork stood in the dark corner looking out. The human force was much more than expected, shocking it. The triad of retardation is also visible. They sensed that this was no joke and everyone was on high alert. Tiangwen was the most frustrated and filled with anger. Humans dare to come here. Next to it was a stupid, angry tiger, following its fierce animal instincts, roaring a warning. Outside the mountain, the scared man looked and grinned. In front of the soldiers was a massive mountain covered in fog. Do you really have to conquer this? Inside the massive mountain, Wu Ziyu stood stiff as a statue after receiving a huge shock. His face darkened. Human marching speed is faster than previously calculated. What's even more strange is that Xiaoking didn't tell him anything. What happened on her end? With an army so terrible that just one spit of saliva from each person could create a flood that would engulf the whole mountain. It can't just be about catching crocodiles. too wasteful. Humans don't have that much energy. It just might have another purpose. For example, leveling a mountain. The events that led to this situation started 5 days ago. At a government conference, senior federal leaders have spoken out to confirm that in the fog, there is someone at the top manipulating everything. The other leaders were so shocked. The brown-haired female leader asked again to be sure. It's hard to believe that there are humans who can tame monsters. It's virtual. The Minister of Research affirmed that there is. Didn't you watch the clip just now? See the ant that can speak human language? That cannot be learned by yourself and become good at it. The bushy-bearded leader said that behind it could be an entire organization. Absolutely not simply just one person. From there, it is entirely possible that crocodiles have intelligence and that the other organization possesses genetic engineering techniques. Inland, there are 8 areas on the red list. The ravine is the most dangerous place, with the prediction that the second wave of spirit power will arrive within 10 days at the latest. This is an extremely dangerous situation for humans. The second spirit power wave will bring a new evolution to the beast. That ravine must be destroyed before the spirit power wave arrives. Otherwise, everything will be beyond human control. The senior leader pondered for a long time, then called someone from outside. Stepping inside was an extremely familiar person. The bearded commander still had as much beard as the first time we met. He will be the one to present the entire ravine attack plan to everyone here. The attack date will be 5 days away, before Aura recovered. What if Aura recovers on the 4th day? What is the plan that is so unstable? But in reality, on the 5th day, the true Aura was not recovered. That's why a whole group of people came to the ravine. Staying in the doctoral laboratory brought great success to humanity. That round ball emitting dazzling firelight is the mutated medicine pill that the doctor created with great skill. This medicinal pill is specially made for Hecholing to help enhance her fire element abilities. You have to give it right away until it's hot. Was supposed to give it to Hecholing, but the doctor was stopped by Linling. She screamed, "Hecholing is always Hecholing all day long. Are all the students in this academy dead, or is it just Hecholing? When he comes to rob you, tell your mother that you're still pretending. We know you live your life wrong, so we don't have to pretend." Return to the government conference. High-ranking officials had just heard the cost and manpower statistics for the upcoming battle from the mouth of the bearded commander. The whole group banged on the table and screamed loudly. How can I endure such lavish spending habits? Every ravine still requires quality goods. The guy with the bushy beard told you to stop talking. If you lose, do you dare to accept the consequences? If you fight, you must fight to win. If you lose, you all die. After the second wave of spirit power, the entire ravine will no longer regard humans as anything. The leaders had no choice but to keep their mouths shut. The bushy-bearded commander even suggested keeping it a secret from the major-ranking officials. No wonder He Xiaoqing didn't know anything. The bearded commander's final request was to have key people participate in this campaign. If it is predicted that behind the monsters there is someone manipulating them, then that person's strength is definitely not weak. On the human side, we also need to prepare a suitable person. The proposed person is a yellow-haired man wearing sunglasses. He is General Lai, is the strongest man in humanity. After that conference, the Federation began building walls around the city. It's like building a Titan drum, but with less effect. Build it for peace of mind. You can also be lucky enough to fend off some weak monsters. At the emergency department in a hospital in City Z, Hecholing was walking hurriedly in the hospital corridor. She was extremely nervous and walked so fast that her companion couldn't even run after her. In time, Hecholing quickly opened the emergency room door. Looking inside, I saw the doctor lying on the hospital bed. His assistant kept crying. The doctor seems to have given up. Just yesterday, we were talking happily, and now we're lying on a ventilator, not knowing anything. The doctor's condition made Hecholing unhappy at all. Whoever dared to touch her beloved doctor was still so harsh. That person is definitely not at peace. The unfortunate incident happened on the day the doctor made the medicinal pill. Linling came and somehow stole the medicine and absorbed it into her body. The amount of fire-type spirit power that the pill brings makes Linling's body almost burn and change. Has ears, tail, and sharp claws. The reason for the change is because the elixir is made from the inner essence of the fire leopard. Linling's body is a non-fire type, so mutations occur. The doctor warned her, Tell her to vomit, but she craves strength, so she still holds on. He also stubbornly ordered the doctor to shut up. If you don't shut up, scratch your throat directly. That scratch is the reason why the doctor is dying like he is now. After Linling finished beating someone, he fell unconscious. She was then escorted by the military to the genetic mutation department. No wonder she jumped down from the iron giraffe. She injured a doctor of the academy, but because she was addicted to drugs and the army needed people, she was kept. The doctor had to breathe silently. The doctor was also very angry. As a medical professional, I can't save people, and I can't even see the person who beat people suffer. However, no matter how angry he was, it was not as angry as Hicholing's anger. It's Playboy sister Linlin again. The day before, we took the exam and stole her credit. I've punched you several times and knocked you out on the floor, but you still dare to hit your doctor. You will definitely die with me. In his coma, the doctor still did not forget to call Hicholing's name. Hicholing hurriedly approached the doctor. I'm here. He opened his eyes heavily and gave Hicholing half of the medicinal pill that he had spent his life trying to get. Still holding it tightly in his hand, Dilly saw Hicholing. Hicholing didn't care about the pill. She grabbed the doctor's hand and told him not to rush to speak. Keep your strength and breathe. I'm about to die, and I'm not allowed to say the last word. Ah, this devil. The doctor is the person who knows his condition best. He was sure he wouldn't survive. So I decided to say a few more words to reassure myself. He said Hicholing is still young and has a bright future. Death was chosen by him at that time. I don't blame anyone, and it's not like he ruined his own future. Old bamboo shoot sprouting. He is a Che, and Hicholing is a doctor who is willing to sacrifice himself for Hicholing, and hope that Hicholing will not easily destroy his expectations. Don't do anything wrong for revenge. Hicholing was originally planning to break Linling's head, but since the doctor didn't want her to kill him, she wouldn't kill him. After saying the last few words, he quickly left. Doctor closed his eyes. The heart rate monitor beeped once. It's like it stopped without running anymore. Every road is straight, no up or down. The doctor and his assistant cried like crazy, and Hicholing didn't say a word. All I know is that she is very confused. A fire of hatred flared up fiercely in my heart. She clasped half of the elixir in her hand. Playboy sister wanted to die, but here, that hand holding the medicinal pill would definitely fly straight into her face. Hicholing walked slowly, leave the emergency room, suddenly stopped by an organization staff member. He came to invite her to the battle location. Hicholing doesn't even know how to fight, but according to the employee, she already had a super team ahead of her. She belongs to the second group. Now just follow him. Where is the combat location? The staff still refuses to say. Just say you'll talk about the specific situation later. He took Hicholing onto the helicopter and flew straight to the destination. The place to go is the northern Ravine, where her shared house is located. Everything is completely unannounced. Hicholing was brought to the place and immediately stood in line. Here, there are many other supernatural people also standing. They lined up with their hands behind their backs, their hair dyed blue, red, purple, yellow, and everything in between. Their commander is none other than a bearded man. He was on a high podium introducing himself as the top leader of this campaign. Hicholing looked up, found him somewhat familiar. Didn't this guy come to eat at my house in the past? Now it's my boss. The bearded commander said the upcoming battle would be a historic battle. This was the first time humans proactively attacked a foreign animal first. The first target this time is a giant crocodile fish. The second is to eliminate all strong, strange beasts in the mountain. He stood before the entire army and affirmed, never faced an enemy directly before. All enemies are unknown, so their strength may be beyond human imagination. Certainly a brutal battle, cruel in that strange beasts can easily destroy even fighter planes. Their strength is much superior to humans. To compensate for human quality, we must suppress quantity. Specifically, the number of soldiers in this battle reached 30,000. However, lower quality is still lower. It is absolutely impossible to avoid large casualties. But we must win. Even if we cannot win, we must win because only then can we ensure the future of people in this land. The bushy bearded commander shouted out the nickname for this operation, hunting. The atmosphere below was fiery and King was almost panicking. Too sudden, too crowded. Must definitely inform Wuziyu. As he was about to leave his body, He was dragged away by staff. He said that General Lai wanted to see her privately. What do you know? Go play somewhere else so I can report to my boss. If Mr. General Lai was not a general, He Xiaoling would say so. But he had the power, so she had to stay silent. At the combat zone, He Xiaoling faced General Lai. He called her over without preparing a chair for her. As soon as we met, we told her about her background. He knew everything, of course, including her hometown, at the foot of the northern Ravine. Not only that, he also knew about the past. She had a twin sister, but unfortunately, he was crushed by a beast in the mountain and died. Now there's only her left. General Li thought that she was definitely familiar with the terrain up to the heart of the mountain, and said she definitely wanted revenge. General Lai has high hopes for me, so I'm so happy. But in the past, the monster beat me and ran, falling and hitting my head, so now I don't remember anything anymore. General Li sympathizes with you, but you called me just to ask these things. For those things, you can ask the staff to ask and then call directly if you want to get her opinion on something else. He Xiaoking was finally free to report to Wu Ziyu. What General Li asked her just now was that he wanted to accept her as his disciple. She also agreed. Wu Ziyu thought it was right. He Xiaoling's talent surpasses anyone who wouldn't want to accept him as a disciple. The deeper the carving can penetrate into the human organization, the better. Why don't you agree? If you ignore that good thing, there will be an earth-shattering bad thing. Tomorrow the army will enter this mountain. He Xiaoking asked him if he could win. He didn't answer that question. He just said that if the soldiers came, they would fight. Who doesn't want to live? Who doesn't want to bring benefits to themselves? Wu Ziyu has always put the motto of not creating karma with people first. If I could live in peace forever, that would be great. He just wants to live like that. But in life, you don't always get it if you want. The animals gathered around to hear him say his life motto. Every child is serious. Wu Ziyu always wanted to keep himself neutral, but in his position it is impossible. He has no voice and no position, so who does he claim to be neutral towards? I can't even protect myself. All the strange beasts right here, this multi-species company will next face an extremely brutal battle. That brutal battle could even be called war. Losing means everyone dies. If you win, it's not guaranteed that the whole herd will survive. Must accept that they will lose some teammates. But the price of fighting for the right to continue living, the price to win and live is not to be disturbed by humans. Therefore, you must be ready to fight with the mentality of facing death. Ignore the fear of death and use all your strength to fight humanity. Tomorrow's battle is as meaningful to the beasts as it is to humans. It is a battle that decides the future of both races. All the animals roared, proving that their courage was no less than that of humans. Every child screamed, only Lyra was lost in there. She didn't scream, but she was so startled by the scream that she gasped. The chimpanzees screamed the loudest. Their forces are also uniform. Next comes the falcon flock. They are also equally bloody. Before we could fight, we saw that the strange beast side had won first in terms of howling. Much more diverse than humans. In general, the soldiers and generals on the strange beast side have already prepared. Come here, humans. Wu Ziyu's pre-war speech had only Leader Feng not participating in listening with his friends. He stood far away, looking towards the willow tree. Leader Feng intends to leave. Don't forget to think about bringing along the little treasures you raise. Both the older and younger children wanted to take it away. So you don't intend to fight alongside strange beasts. But his feelings for his adopted children were so deep that he was not afraid of selling out Wu Ziyu. As he once told King Qiang, when he wanted to leave, he would let them go. Total forces on both sides, 285 strange beasts. There are nearly 50,000 humans, very even quantity, but all are creatures on Earth that no one loves anyone else. He Xiaoling knows that the number of people is very large, but I didn't expect it to come to this. While she was standing alone happily, a scar-faced crazy guy came to discuss strategy, even though she didn't ask. Is this not as handsome as a handsome man in the literal sense? He Xiaoling didn't ask him to explain, but the audience thanks him. The scar-faced guy said that this time the combat formation was divided into 3 teams. 2 teams have much larger numbers than the other team. In order to prevent the monsters from being beaten and running into the city, they prepared many troops to surround the mountain. The number of soldiers this time was so large that even the unreal sublimes themselves who were summoned couldn't believe it. The guy with the hair covering his eyes couldn't believe it, but the guy with the scared face thought it was necessary. Following Scarface's violent childhood, before becoming the scar-faced unreal sublime, he encountered a level 4 antelope at the zoo. What kind of big zoo raises mutant animals like that? Putting aside that terrible zoo, that antelope destroyed a rescue team of nearly 100 people and it was only level 4. As disgusting as the one in the zoo is, how terrifying are the wild monsters in the mountains. At level 4, if you bring it into the forest, you will only have water to make food for the people there. Hearing the Scarface guy say that gave everyone goosebumps. Scarface continued, other than suppressing the beasts with numbers, there was no other way. That is also the only way to minimize casualties. It's reasonable to say that bringing more people in reduces the percentage of casualties. That is also what makes King worried. Can his Wu Ziyu and the beasts really fight against all 3 armies? Just like Scarface said, the commander's side is also discussing attacking in 3 directions. The main force is the team in the middle. 2 teams on both wings conducted encirclement and destruction, specifically for tanks to pave the way. The main force of supernatural forces attacked. The infantry provided support and destruction. The bearded commander put a lot of effort into this battle. He required all soldiers to carry spirit power jammers. Carrying that brings only benefits and no harm. It can both hide military strength and hide body odor. If you have bad armpit or foot odor, don't worry. This campaign is limited to 24 hours. Departure of troops officially begins. According to plan, the tank group lined up neatly, simultaneously opened fire to open the way. Tanks were positioned in the front, firing bullets like a storm straight into the forest. Behind the pile of tanks are hundreds of thousands of soldiers lined up neatly, waiting, preparing to enter the mountain. On the left wing, smoke and fire were rising fiercely. Bombs and bullets turned the mountain into fire. On the right wing, fighter planes opened fire and burned the entire forest. Wouldn't such an explosion cause a volcano? A soldier, after witnessing the firepower of the human side, shouted to rest assured that a large number of fire prevention and fighting forces had been arranged around the mountain. Moreover, such a terrible explosion was not only to open the way, but also to quickly enter the residence of a large number of strange beasts, which was also to open the way. It sounds like putting sugar in a glass of water not only makes the water in the glass sweet but also makes it a sugar drink. While talking, the boss caught me. Don't talk nonsense there anymore. Focus on your purpose. The soldier hurriedly said, yes, why don't you stand at the front of the line and dare to have a private conversation? General Lee is one of the 2 heroes of the Federation. When I was younger, I looked much cooler with long hair. Now when I walk around, I look mature and calm. It's the type of person who has gone through life and doesn't like to show off anymore. General Lee's strength is unquestionable. He alone can fight an entire army, is the strongest superhuman. I'm just sorry that I'm blind now. What a pity, oh my god. These soldiers were talking like crazy after being scolded by their boss, and even brought up the matter of the boss to discuss. Really stubborn. If you shoot once, the whole mountain will sink. The soldier leading the group shouted for everyone to go inside. The whole group of soldiers advanced simultaneously, as many as ants breaking their nest. If you attack, you won't be able to move and you'll have to scream. Shout for help. The tree's roots know it and it hits the whole group. Not only the roots, but also fake animals made from mist appeared and stomped all over. Heksholing immediately recognized these toys. Who else but your boss? Wu Ziyu welcomed the midfield with snake-shaped roots and 2 huge fake animals. When guests arrived, they stood frozen in front of the door and were not allowed inside. Reported to the front wing commander being attacked. It's not over yet. On the left side of the scared man, roots and pus-like beasts also appeared. Linling's right wing was also attacked by tree roots and fake animals. The commander came out and used binoculars to look but turned pale. He shouted in panic, how could that be possible? Is there anything in life that is impossible? Wanting to break in here is not that easy. The bushy-bearded commander faced the awkward situation but refused to smile confidently. He forced the secretary to summarize the number of fake roots and animals right now. At the same time, tell the Ironbirds to support the left and right wings. Leave them alone and let them solve it themselves. Anti-aircraft guns began to explode. Is a type of fire bullet specifically used for fake animals. But as soon as they shot up to their armpits, the animals were stopped. Amidst the smoke and fog, the silhouette of a chimpanzee was approaching. I saw one bird, but hundreds of them flew out. Every child is aggressive. They charged at the soldiers. They quickly shouted to each other to fire. The sniper shoots and still stands still. King Kong grabbed a rock and threw it at the same time as the chimpanzees' attack. The rock landed on the human tank and exploded. The group of chimpanzees was able to rush forward. The human side has gradually lost its original square formation. Take the big rock that King Kong just threw as a mark. No one dares to pass by, but overall, human force is truly overwhelming. Although the front rows were chaotic due to the attack, there were still many other rows behind. But that's it for now. Stop them there. Ancient empire called Wuziu. The crocodile said a mouse had gotten inside. It's okay. Wuziu has already arranged for the mantis to take care of it. A group of soldiers carrying guns with lasers headed deep into the mountain. I was walking when I suddenly discovered it. On the ground there was something with two glowing red eyes. But there's not just one. Outside there is a storm. Inside the sea is calm. The command team is counting the numbers. If they get it, will they be able to do any business? In addition to the number of troops and weapons here, there is also an outstanding talent, General Lee, making the possibility of victory much higher. The bearded commander. Clarify the objective again. The crocodile is the main one who finds the brain behind it. The original plan was to attack from outside the fog to avoid the fake animals, but a few animals ran out of the fog to block him. The bearded commander didn't know how they got out, but he was sure their owner must have been extremely formidable. At least above rank 1. Your guess is not wrong, Uncle. Wuziu is currently peaking at rank 2. The bearded man didn't know this, so he set a target. After another 23 hours and 41 minutes of combat, all the unknowns in the canyon must be found. Inside the foggy area, Wuziu also arranged a battle with the willow tree as the center. On the left, soldiers thundered and shot at Lyra. Lyra enthusiastically responded by stabbing vines at the soldiers. Lyra is surrounded by enemies. Her right side also has a name. He called her a demon girl and at the same time went crazy with snake bullets, but Lyra used vines to block it. The soldier was so engrossed in focusing 120% on Lyra that he did not know death was coming. From behind, White Tiger opened his mouth and took a crisp bite. Lyra climbed on White Tiger's back and rushed forward. Behind is a herd of green wine wolf. The number of enemies this time is extremely large. Lyra reminded the group to increase their vigilance. As soon as he finished speaking, a white stork flew over and howled loudly. Lyra doesn't know bird language, so she doesn't understand anything. But I know, so I can translate it for you. There's a missile coming. Get out of here, Grandma. After I finished translating, the rocket just exploded, sending rocks and trees flying everywhere. The rocket comes from the Playboy Sisters team. After she used stimulants, she became even more obnoxious when she reached level 8. After the missile attack, he wanted to skim White Tiger. The missile did hit the target, but no one died because White Tiger covered all the damage. Hosey recognized the mutated girl among the animals. In addition, it is also recognized that the strength of the monster side is not bad. The missile just now is specially made for monsters. Took a direct hit, but none of them died. 10 points. Truly the Lord of the Jungle. Among the monsters, there was a human-like monster. Just catch that one, and you can find out the truth behind it. If Linling can think of this, anyone can think of it. In terms of negotiation, talking to a half-human is better than talking to a 100% monster. Hosey felt extremely excited and transformed into a lion. The name Hosey did not turn into a monkey, but instead turned into a lion. What's more absurd is that before we knew whether we would win or not, Hosey demanded a share of the spoils. The woman belongs to him. The tiger skin belongs to Linling. On the other side, a small stick suddenly shot up from below, aimed straight at the soldier's lower body. So cruel. Cruel monkeys often live leisurely lives. If there is a golden monkey, there must be a wild boar, and if there is a wild boar, there must be a honey badger. Pig jumped up and did an extremely beautiful quadrikill with his feet. The honey badger here also used his body to slide through the bullets and hit the soldier's face with his butt. Don't underestimate the honey badger's butt. Thanks to being beaten and screamed by Wuziu over and over again, he's extremely tough. The evil trio used all dangerous attacks to easily eliminate the fighting power of the infantry. The whole group of soldiers lay in all kinds of positions, trembling on the ground. The most to mention is the appearance of hitting the road face down. The three mean kids work effectively as a team. It's not in vain that we've been destroying villages since childhood. The yellow monkey carried a stick and walked through the bushes when he discovered a suspicious man. He swung his stick and jumped up, intending to knock just like any other. Unexpectedly, the person in the bush was waiting for it to pounce. Inside the bush was hidden an unreal sublime with a sharp scorpion tail. He used his tail to attack the yellow monkey. Monkeys in the air cannot dodge. The tail was directly slashed across his body. The yellow monkey flew away. He used a stick to stop his flight and landed next to the other two bad guys. Although the tail did not cut off its body, it was still a big cut. On the side of the wound, there is also a purple color plus the effect of veins around the edge of the tear. If it's not poison, it's definitely toxic. The yellow monkey struggled to stand with his cane. His body was sweating and his face looked unstable. The scorpion-tailed man laughed loudly. It was a super toxic poison gathered from various poisons. You only have 1 minute left, monkey. Of course, the honey badger couldn't leave the guy who beat his friend alone to laugh. It uses its body to launch lightning. Horizontal zoom, vertical zoom. Dash to the back of the scorpion-tailed man. The honey badger bared his teeth and tried to take a bite. Who would have thought that before he could bite, he was kicked to the ground? The bud-tailed guy turns out to have another teammate. Ah no, it's two teammates. The girl carrying the giant axe rushed towards the golden monkey who was unable to resist. He was about to hit it hard, but it didn't hit the golden monkey, but instead hit the head of the wild boar that rushed out to help his friend. Bleeding from its head, she landed next to her two remaining teammates. All three are unreal sublime, including the level 6 scorpion jealous transformation, girl holding a level 7 mace, and level 8 lightning speed uncle. Of the bad trio, only the honey badger is level 8 and the other two are level 7. Looking at their levels, it seems like the bad team will win, but all of us are injured, so the battle may not go as predicted. The human side rushed forward simultaneously. They knew the animals were injured, so they wanted to quickly attack and destroy them. Honey badgers don't wait for them to fight first before fighting back. It jumps up all the time. My uncle quickly saw it and smiled with disdain and shame on his face. The honey badger let out a scream that sent electricity all over his body straight at the group of supernatural people. They were both electrocuted and psychologically shocked. Since the time my father was born, I have seen a Pikachu discharge electricity, but I have never seen a honey badger discharge electricity. So knave, you guys watched more movies about presidents pretending to be poor, while the crowd was numb both mentally and physically. Golden monkeys and wild boars rushed forward. One hit the other two men right in the face, and my sister let honey badger give her iron head to clear her head. Grasshoppers are arthropods, often seen wearing blue, yellow, or brown skin. There are tens of thousands of types of buffalo and grasshoppers in the world, some long and some short. Some are fat, some are skinny, but in general, the size is no bigger than a thumb. This species is a harmless insect. However, if there's just one child, there's nothing to worry about. Can easily be beaten to death. Some can also be stir-fried and eaten, but only a few hundred are enough. If the number reaches thousands or hundreds of thousands, they will become a scary monster. Many countries around the world have been swept by locusts, resulting in extremely terrible and difficult to overcome consequences. The author brought out grasshoppers as an example for humanity today. Many things are harmful and difficult to handle, causing people to become desperate. The battle of the unholy trio and the unreal sublime trilogy is over. The scorpion's tail has also been cut off. Scored a goal for the trio of children. From the time they poisoned to the time they won, several tens of minutes had passed, but the golden monkey still hadn't died, because from very ancient times it has awakened the ability to selectively absorb. Allow it to absorb only beneficial things. The golden monkey stood up with her cane. It was not poisoned, but its selective absorption skills when receiving toxins would bring extremely painful side effects. Because when the golden monkey's body receives selectively absorbed poison, its cells will react violently to push the poison out. Wring it out like wringing clothes. Removing poison cells brings much more pain. After dealing with the supernatural trio, the soldiers arrived. They immediately opened fire targeting the three bad boys. The yellow monkey was no longer able to move. so the honey badger and wild boar used their bodies to support it. It's a high-level alien beast, so normal ammunition can't penetrate it. It hurts like hell. Honey badger uses electric discharge to attack the soldiers. The wild boar also rushed forward strongly. They attack to block the humans in front, but accidentally forget the danger behind. Behind the yellow monkey, there was a huge supernatural human figure approaching. As the lightning speed uncle, he still has the ability to fight and is preparing to attack the yellow monkey. Attacked and then grabbed the golden monkey. It was completely impossible to dodge. That's why the wild boar supported it. Before the golden monkey's eyes, the wild boar blocks lightning attacks. His hand pierced the skin that held the boar's gun and bullets and penetrated even deeper. Yellow monkey with pale face. He pursed his lips and tried not to scream, but tears couldn't stop flowing, because he knew that if his friend got hit by that, he would surely die. Died right before his eyes, and died because of it. The honey badger also saw, and the honey badger also cried. The lightning-fast hand stabbed into the wild boar's flesh. To the right place makes the heart squeeze. The cry came out pitifully. Blood gushed out from his mouth. That's the end of a pig's life. The wild boar fell towards the monkey, who lay motionless on the ground, no longer able to fight or run away. I can only lie there forever. The yellow monkey couldn't stand it anymore. He cried loudly, tears running out of his eyes and nose. This is what crying is. Tears alone are not enough to express the crisis in his mind right now. Honey badger just glanced at his friend for a moment. The detonator was already close to his face. As soon as I discovered it, it exploded, right at the badger's head. Blood splattered. The attack just now came from an Unreal Sublime. Besides that name, there are also several other Unreal Sublime names. They all rushed forward to remind the soldiers to switch to specially made bullets and shoot. When he thought both of his friends were dead, he lost his will, ignoring the dull pain in his stomach and the fresh blood shooting out of his mouth. He picked up the stick, swung it, and screamed in the storm of bullets. He intended to die with his brothers. Who would have thought that the honey badger was still alive, bit the back of its neck and dragged it away. Honey badger used its body to launch lightning deep into the mountain. The soldiers immediately shouted to each other to chase. The honey badger took the still crying golden monkey and ran away quickly. Having been injured while carrying teammates, it was quite difficult. The honey badger's front limbs were tattered and torn. Just now, it used its front limbs to block the bullets, so it didn't die. However, it was still very painful and tiring, causing both sweat and tears to flow out. The situation is very tense. I was so nervous that I switched to another scene to relieve the suspense. Somewhere in the forest, two light bosses, one green, one yellow, flashed back and forth on the soldiers. The two light bosses are very similar to when the mantis and the little ant fought the bull demon king when the bull demon king had just reached rank 1. As expected, it was the two of them. Tianguan because he hates humans. He kills crazily. Mantis cannot resist. At this rate, Tianguan will soon be exhausted. Tianguan doesn't care about himself as much as other people do, carrying the mentality of wanting to destroy all humans and rushing forward.